Hello, my name is Ron, and this is Poddy Training, episode number dos. This is a hot chocolate. All right, today we are talking about, we're going to go into a core principle for training ground, but first we're going to touch on
A couple of questions.
cues from last week.
Yeah.
So let's rip through.
Question number, I love this question. Is athlete forever for old people?
Yes, I love the honesty behind this question. Is it for old people? Yes and no. All right. Admittedly, Athlete Forever was a little bit designed for folks like myself. I would say that I am an avatar. I've had slipped L4, L5, can't train the way that I used to, but I do want to feel virile and alive and athletic and all those kinds of things. So it's meant to promote athleticism, but certainly that's not limited to anybody of certain ages.
Yeah, but I mean, you can sort of think of it like when a professional athlete retires, like at 25, at 30, at 32, but they want to stay athletic. Like it's not necessarily old. It's just that their training experience is quite old.
I'd say seasoned. You're a seasoned
A little bit of MSG.
athlete. We all love a bit of MSG.
Yeah.
A seasoned athlete.
Good. It's for a seasoned athlete, but that said, it's built. I mean, the class is for building athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're someone who wants to get better at your field or court sport, this is spot on. Or again, what tends to go when you age is not strength. Like you can maintain strength as you age, but those type 2 muscle fibers, the fast twitch ones, those are the ones that go. That's more associated with
your explosivity
aging.
goes down significantly. No, that's anecdotal from me, but yeah, it does actually, research does actually point that direction as well.
Yeah. So if you get a little plyometric, if you get a little bit of sprinting in on a week-to-week basis, you have a chance to maintain and build athleticism.
Well, at least attenuate the loss.
Yes.
Very much so. So that's more where Athlete Forever is targeted, where you do your sprints, your jumping, your multi-directional movements, unilateral strength stuff.
Yep.
So we can continue to do our field or court sports.
Yep. So great question. Next one.
Why did CrossFit this week have no barbell work?
All right, you guys were heard. We heard you. First of all, CrossFit is a lot more than just barbells, so that's kind of the top level answer is
Remember dumbbell season?
dumbbell season.
Dumbbell year. It was the dumbbell, it wasn't semis back then, it was regionals and then the dumbbell games.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
That was
A few years ago.
20, 21 I want to say maybe.
And people lost their shit back then too. Why?
Either people lost their shit or people, now we have dumbbell snatches as a staple.
Yep.
And then actually it was a pretty good thing where when COVID hit and then we were just stuck with dumbbell workouts, I was like, well, it ain't so bad.
Yeah.
I do love my barbells, but like it's just a piece of equipment.
We all love the barbell. Sometimes it's an opportunity if you don't have the barbell in there to do all these other things. That said, we're listening. We know that people want a little bit different, more of a balance. So it's something that we're going to look at and address. But there's no reason. It's not because we're anti-barbell. It's not because we have an extended plan to minimize the barbell. It's just that CrossFit is broad, and that's really the answer. Next question.
Was last week a deload week?
I mean, I think this just builds on, you have the absence of something that you're familiar with, where you typically put in a lot of intensity, and without that, it might make it appear like a deload week. So I think that's factor number 1. Factor number 2, classes have been shorter overall. What I mean by that is instead of running 62 to 67 minutes, which was kind of the average, it really was, with no cool down, right? We wanted to finish at 55 to 57 and have that time to come together, to breathe, not because, actually there's a few reasons, and you can connect. Like I really think that that's...
Well, guys.
You get to connect in a cool down when you're breathing. The coach gets to use a different voice, right? The coach, if I may, coach has like a few different voices.
Yes.
We've got the player development on the court kind of thing. We've got the timeouts and the huddles, and we have the coaching of the game.
And then the entertainer, the cheerleader,
yeah,
or maybe the drill sergeant. But anyway,
yeah. And then when you're in the cool down, you get to be
turn it down a bit.
Yeah, kind of a different kind of person.
Or get to be human.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And members connect that way too.
Yeah. It's not a one and done
No.
thing.
Getting parasympathetic.
Yes, that is very important after a workout. But to directly address the deload, I think there's been a lot of focus the past week on getting movement patterns down correct. There was a lot of unilateral work and a lot of skill work. So when we're talking about especially skill work, like you don't necessarily want to be doing your skill work under a lot of fatigue or at high intensity itself. So to get better at that skill, so it feels like a deload, but like taking that step back and not being tired to do a little thing better will allow you to add that intensity on later on down the track when you need to actually turn it up, and either on the competition floor or just, having a fun workout on the weekend with the crew. Then you can rely on your technique and just go balls to the wall. So it's not a deload as such, it's just getting your focus and attention on doing something a little bit better than you used to before, which requires you to be less tired when doing it. There was a lot of skill stuff last week as well.
Yeah. Have you done a Dynamo class yet?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So those ones are obviously like the movements in Dynamo, for example, are not movements that you're going to see in like a Metcon, for example. But that is tiring because it's so much focus that you need. So I think a lot of times it happens too. We see these movements that are lower intensity, but really it's just taking that energy and that effort, and you're just funneling it into a kind of a different type of energy. And if you're not funneling that energy into where it's supposed to be, you can walk away thinking like, that was a little bit light. I didn't really get much out of that. You're doing a single leg airplane hinge. That stuff's hard. Like it takes focus through the entire movement.
Or you can just rush it and not feel anything.
Exactly. So I think part of what we need to do as a team is make sure that we're communicating those intentions.
I was going to just say that, yeah.
Yeah, a bit better to the members, and what's happening in this week and why we're doing it, so that all the exercises are connected to the outcome that we're actually trying to achieve.
Yeah, for sure. So we're currently working on that, where communication from us, particularly the coaching team, to all the members. It's like, okay, this is going to be the intention of this movement, this piece, this exercise. This is how you should feel. And then hopefully you'll get the most out of it. If not, just, anything else.
Yeah. The last two questions are: the class is shorter, my calorie count is low this week, ... What does that mean? I think that we're kind of already touched on that with what we just answered, to be honest.
Calorie count's probably worth touching on a bit deeper.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Because one thing about calorie count is I also take them with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
They're not gospel. And
Yeah,
you
I
can delve
agree.
in.
I'm trying not to nerd out.
This can get really scientific.
Yeah. I've actually done a full Thai episode on smart devices.
Well, you can do another.
Okay, so and I did a comparison of all the brands once. At the end of the day, so if we talk about like your Garmin's and your Apples of the world, which are probably and possibly your Whoops, they are actually highly accurate in measuring your heart rate. Actually, their accuracy is in the 90%. The issue is when we talk about calorie expenditure with your smart devices, it then goes. Sorry, I'm in tutor mode. It's a proxy calculation of your heart rate to an estimated calorie burn based on the information that you provided. That I'm a 72 kilo male, middle aged, with about I don't know, 15% body fat. And so it'll take all the calculations and spit out based on your heart rate. The problem with that is if you're doing straight strength work, your heart rate it'll spike, but then it'll go straight back down if you're relatively healthy. But if you're, say for example, stressed and your heart rate is elevated the whole time, then it's going to believe that you're just like in zone 3 for 6 hours. But to be honest, you're just, working with an asshole boss. And so, grain of salt. And so because it's a proxy calculation, it actually isn't very accurate at all for calorie expenditure. My other thing on calorie expenditure in the gym is you come to the gym to build your body, not to burn your body. Yes, a nice side effect is that you'll burn some extra calories here and there, but like most Asians, for a solid hour workout, you're looking at about 350 calories plus or minus, about 50 depending on the day. To be honest, you will have a much better effect on your body composition by looking at your diet more than what you burn in the gym, as opposed to coming to the gym is like, I'm going to build this machine that is healthy, that is functional, that can do wonderful things, and the side benefit would be like I look sexy naked. That's my perspective on the gym and calorie burn.
And like you can get your NEAT, so your
NEAT can actually account for way more calories. So like if you compare like 350 calories inside an hour workout on average, whereas if you intentionally up your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, like we're talking about the 10,000 steps a day, taking the stairs, going to a toilet on a different floor, like all those little things, taking a walk after your meals, you can actually burn anywhere between 600 and 800 calories extra. And that bang for buck is way better. Way more, not better.
Well, it's not as much energy output, because they're things you can just tie into your day.
Tie into your day, exactly.
I think that's a cool topic. We should talk about in the future. Devices, measurables, what we can, what we can't do, what's useful, what's not useful. Because I've got my insight on this is because I'm diabetic, so I measure my blood sugars a lot. And if I do a long session where I burn a lot of calories, let's say something like even like a Murph, where let's say I'm curious actually, what's the most calories do you guys know that you ever burned in a session that you've recorded?
It was 800-900 or something.
I think it's about the same for me, Which is actually
I don't keep count stuff like that.
Not that much. Like when you think about, I mean, that's a lot for a session, but when you consider the amount of effort, like what you put in to get that,
it was disgusting. It was like most disgusting.
Yeah, people don't. So like these other metrics are more important, or maybe more insightful. They've got new devices now that maybe not that new that use I think it's an infrared light where it's can measure sort of oxygenation of your muscles, so it can take account a little bit more of the effects of lifting or lifting to failure versus just running. That's interesting.
Funny story. When I got my Apple Watch, doing some strength training, bracing, so I wasn't breathing at the time, and it beeped to say like you're not breathing.
We have a corpse.
It's like dumbbell deadlifts or something.
No, it's one of the settings. It reminds you. It actually reminds you. It's real. Actually, some of the features in Apple are actually really good.
It's too sensitive. I'm like, give me a break.
Those people come in with hazmat suits to pick up the corpse.
So, is it clever to double class?
Is it clever to double class?
Like back-to-back class?
Look, here's what I always say. Like, I don't know if you do double class, I can't tell you if you're recovering or not. I don't have that kind of information. I don't live in your cells. I don't know. If you recover, and then you recover. Most people will do 2 sessions and they're just broken. It's clear that that's not going to work for them. If you're training for something extreme, or it really goes into this like more of a mental resiliency training, you're not doing it for the physiological benefit, but like just to be tough and be able to do the hard things.
Goggins.
Then like there's something there. It's kind of like doing an ice bath. You do an ice bath for 2 minutes, you get all the benefits. Everything past that is just training your brain.
Yeah.
So there is, to that effect, a benefit for some people who want that. But for the most part, no, it's completely not necessary and going to hurt you or going to take away from your results or completely change the strategy that you're going to need to apply to recover, to get ready for the next day. And to recover enough from 2-3 hours of training. Like, unless you're popping in a hyperbolic chamber and sleeping for 12 hours straight and just, you know, getting your nutrition pumped directly in, then I don't think you're going to really be able to recover. You know, you got to really look at what your objectives are for that one.
So the only people in the world who do double sessions a day are professional athletes, and they split it into morning, afternoon / evening sessions, and they're usually a different style of training as well. And then if you speak to any legitimate athlete, their full-time job, you think it's training, it's not. It's actually recovery. So they spend like 4 to 5 times the amount of output into recovering from their output. So we're talking like soft tissue, all the recovery, all the nutrition, all the sleep, all that sort of stuff. One, are you a professional athlete? And 2, do you have the time and energy to go into all the recovery stuff, to tick all those boxes so you can just do the double session? As opposed to like what we were talking about, because it comes back to like, you know, I'm getting fewer calories burned, like that return on investment for a 1 hour session is ridiculous. Just, you know, have a look at your need, have a look at your calorie intake, and you'll probably have a much more impactful change to your what I'm assuming is your body composition.
Yeah.
That ties into like the intensity, the programming cycle versus programming for the activity of CrossFit, which I do want to jump in before we go to the principles, but I do want to tie back real quick to the blood sugar thing, just because my experience with the blood sugar as a metric was
With the beaties. He's got the beaties.
When I do higher intensity intervals, as in I've got at least one ratio of rest to the work that I did. So 1 minute on, 1 minute off, or 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off. Some might call this training for improving your VO2 max.
Yep.
It certainly seems to benefit that, which also seems to be a great bang for the buck.
It does.
I notice, even with just 6 minutes of total work, if I really put my best effort into it, my blood sugars for the rest of the day are much more manageable compared to a steady state workout. Now, it's still good when you compare it to like not working out at all, working out in a steady state. And I'm going to throw in like a lightweight CrossFit workout in that category, you know, where I'm doing stamina. You know, there's a lot of stamina work in CrossFit. If I'm doing wall balls, it's really kind of strength stamina. We're working at like 20-15%, but for a lot of reps. And then I'm running or rowing. Do that for 20 minutes versus a couple bouts of 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off. I get better blood glucose control on the latter, and that's an interesting observation. So there's a lot of metrics.
All the energy systems, nerdy shit. Stop.
I can see the hamster wheel. I can hear it.
It'd be a good topic to talk about, where all the devices. We have heart rate monitors. We've got the infrared blood oxygenation. We've got glucose monitors that are like crazy popular now.
Yeah.
It'd be an interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah, because I raw dog, whereas you have your Apple Watch.
That's just because I like to have the time digitally.
You've got.
I get that, and sometimes I use my Apple Watch.
And like, I
You've
use
got an
the
Apple
step
Watch?
count.
Yeah. But I use it just for sleep. It's meh for sleep, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Good present for you. Get an aura.
Should have one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's the equivalent of the Whoop, isn't it? Tells you how recovered you are.
And it's hard. You can't get a Whoop in Thailand yet.
Oh
You
really?
got to order them, but they're not. There's no like.
You can make
There's
like
no local support.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoop groups.
Whoop group.
Yeah. Whoop whoop. Yeah. To see each other's.
I
laugh
saw
at
the
each
Whoop
other's.
bra and the Whoop undies.
Oh.
What? Is this an Aussie thing?
No, it's Whoop, but like Whoop has a bra now. Sorry, tangent.
put
Where
it
you
in-
put the Whoop into the band.
Oh, that's
And you put it in
interesting.
the band there, so you don't have like mad tan lines.
Yeah, because in jiu-jitsu,
Such good
you
marketing.
can't wear
Whoop.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they wear it on
Ankle.
The ankles,
I
yeah.
noticed that.
But
Biometric
that's
clothing. I am a robot.
98% recovered.
My socks count my steps.
Remember Nike had the...
That's quite a good idea.
Some socks with some
Oh,
sensor pads.
Nike had the step counter in the shoes.
They did, that's right.
Yeah.
Did it flop?
100%.
I've never heard of it.
Let's invent the sock thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, here we go.
Okay, programming. So touch back to programming. I think that when we were talking about different intensities, different days. So what we are in is a really well structured cycle with progressive overload. And this is good because that is how you're supposed to program.
Mm-hmm.
For an individual to make progress, generally we're going to follow these core principles and then progressive overload.
Start the cycle with a test, ramp up, probably a deload, and then ramp up again, retest, and see your progress.
And so we have the whole gym going along this. You notice that we're doing this. And I think the real thing that any gym has to really figure out is, are we going to do this for you? Or are we going to go like this and then you do this on your own?
Yeah, because you could be on your ramp up on a different cycle as to my ramp up as well.
Yeah.
You might be coming on Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week, and you're coming 5 days a week, and I'm coming once a week. So how does that impact?
Oh, God.
But I'm also student athlete forever. Because I can program balance freely.
Yeah. Nice. Smooth. Also, you might be able to handle way more volume than me. So, your deload might be 8 weeks away.
You say way more volume because of my name.
Way.
Anyway.
Whereas I can only handle 3 weeks, and I need a deload as well. So, we all respond a little bit different.
Yeah.
Once you're an independent exerciser, which is our goal, is to build people up to kind of being independent. You got more options. You have the ability to make those decisions. But that's something that we're really looking at, that we're listening to our members about, is do we prefer to have these built-in
waves,
cycles where it's set for you and it's really easy. You come in, and if you're coming consistently, you're going to get the kind of contrast or slight deload when you need it. Or the way that I programmed for a long time was I would just pack it with a lot of CrossFit. Still had some progressive overload, but it was really on the members. If you're training 5 days a week, 2 of those days you're going to go pretty ham. 2 of those days you're going to go hard but mindful, we'll say, and then 1 of those days you're just moving and breathing and focusing on quality. And that's still quite aggressive, and that would be on the individuals to be able to manage that.
With good communication with the coaching crew.
Yeah.
It was hey coach, I'm feeling a bit rough this week. And the coach can coach them through. It's maybe it's time for a deload. Maybe it's time for you to, take it easy for a week, for a couple of days, and see how you feel, and then ramp it back up. Or just have your daily undulating intensities.
Yeah, it makes it hard for the coaches to lead a class and give general advice. That's the real challenge of that. And then also, I feel like it does rob the members of being able to view a few cycle and what programming across a 12-week period really should look like for most occasions. So
imagine walking into peak week on your first week at training ground.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that we have to deal with literally every day on the coaching floor. It's we're doing snatch, handstand walks, and rope climbs, and we're on the end of a cycle.
Where everyone's built up to that. Yeah.
It's your first day, and what do you do?
Shit your pants. That's what you do.
You shit your pants, and so part of what we try to do is make sure that we meet them right where they're at, and it's no, we've been waiting for you. We expected this, and this is what you're going to do. Take care of that.
Yeah.
But just illustrating the challenges that come with programming for a broad group.
So to respond to the feedback is we're trying to find that balance. Bear with us while we go through this process. I can only guarantee one thing is it'll be ever evolving, this process, where we're just going to always be adjusting, readjusting. One, we have to cater for hundreds of people. Two, programming is an infinite game where there is no single perfect program at all, ever.
The truth is out there, and we're always trying to get to it.
Yeah,
That's just the way it
We'll
is.
never reach it, but we'll strive for it.
Cool. Principle number 19.
Ooh.
What is a principal?
Head of school.
Principle?
What is a principal? Tell me.
Principle is a core, a fundamental. What is a principle?
Hey, ChatGPT.
What is a principle? How would you define a principle as a definition?
Okay. Core value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that's very important to us, that defines us, and that guides our decisions, guides how we operate. You know, I think that's the best I can. Just put me on the spot on that one. I think that's the best I can do with the principle. The guiding light. Yeah, you can say that about values.
Yeah.
As well. It's like a value.
A core principle is a fundamental foundational idea or belief.
There we go. Cool. And number 19. So last week we on our social media we put out number 20.
We're doing a countdown.
We're doing a countdown. Yeah. This is a great exercise for us. We have a long list, and we're slicing out some of them, and then on each week we got to make a decision on what those ones are. What those are. Even this changed in the last really 48 hours, and we've just narrowed it down to play. Principle 19 is play.
Yeah. This changed in the last 48 hours. This changed in the last 12 hours, dude.
Come on, man! Don't expose me like that. Yes, it has. Actually, it was at noon today. So I was like, I don't like this. This isn't right.
Yeah. Play.
Play.
Define play.
Play is, it can be sport, it can be something that's new, and something that ultimately should be bringing you joy. And it's in the context of what we're doing. This is physical play.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Playing with our kids or dogs.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
That brings us joy. Basically, anything outside the gym. Could it still
It can
be
still be in the gym. Absolutely can be in the gym.
We had to say absolutely.
Absolutely. No, absolutely can be in the gym. It's a mindset. It's not necessarily what you do. It's a mindset. But yeah, a lot of times it is what you do. When we encourage people to get outside of the gym, to go do activities that bring them joy. Maybe they haven't done.
What's your play?
I like golf, so going to the driving range, playing with my daughter, so going in the pool with my daughter. And I like when I do a class, and I haven't been doing a ton of classes. Last night I did a class, and I made a conscious effort. I'm going to.
Did you
play.
do Athlete Forever?
You did
I did high rocks.
Oh.
And I'm not encouraging people to have someone to compete against in class necessarily,
But we all do.
but I also kind of am.
Yeah. We all do.
As long as you know how to do it. It's kind of like
Healthfully.
you need to know a little bit of how to compete and what you're. There's an intention to it. So I was competing with Jonas. I was competing with Jonas, who in class in a way, and he kicked my ass.
Dude, you picked the 10-time competing Ironman.
Yeah, exactly. I like to compete against people who are likely going to
shoot
be.
for the stars. Shoot for the stars.
He didn't even land on the moon though.
We got to like the second round, the beginning of second round of 5, and then he was just like way ahead. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to win. But for me, it was playful. It was like, it's a way to gauge and my play growing up. So I did a lot of play.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in the wilderness in a way. We lived in the wood, in the forest. Everybody from Sussex, New Brunswick has access to a lot of outdoors, and yeah, the backyard was the forest, and then I had the golf course nearby. Yeah.
Yeah, my backyard, literally, my back fence was led onto the National Reserve.
Yeah.
So it was
Oh,
we had
really?
wallabies
Wow.
going around the backyard.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh.
There's nothing like that. It's the best.
It's really cool.
Mine was
Except for the
5-minute
snakes.
drive, and I was in like woodlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had the bush, mate. Anyway.
Yes. And play was a huge part of
You're competitive.
I'm competitive. That's that's true. But I
You
love
love that
sport. I love I loved it so much growing up, and we talked about this recently, like, yes, okay, of course we started the gym, it's for health and for wellness, but where TG came from, really, the genesis is just a love for sport and a love for physicality, physical culture, if you will. You know, as a 14, 15-year-old kid, I was like bringing the lads over and having like full like sleepovers, and the whole day we would just play sports and do things like that, and that's still who I am. And when I started the gym, it was because I just wanted a place for people to come in and like have fun and throw down and gather. So much so much of the positivity that I experienced in my life came from playing. And for me, it is quite synonymous with sport. For a lot of people, it won't be, but that little bit of playful competition is this thing that you often hear.
Yep.
Yeah, so for me, that's a big part. Play should be joyful, and also what we do, it should feel like freedom. This is another thing that, like, it should feel like you can do more with your body and from what you're doing in the gym if you did not do it, versus if you did.
What's your play?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it is, because I sit there and I'm like, fuck, my brain is fried. Because it's just like human chess, they call it. But yeah, jiu-jitsu is my play. Don't really, yeah. But the reason I got into it was because I was listening to, I think it was like a James Smith or Chris Williamson podcast, and they were saying how...
You like your blonde boys.
My what boys?
Isn't James Smith blonde as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you like your blonde podcast.
I don't. It just seemed the podcast hosts, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, anyway, sorry.
Anyway, and I don't think Chris Williamson has hair. It's shaved. I reckon if it grew, I think it's probably mousy. I think it's like a mousy brown.
He's definitely not.
He's not blonde.
He's not.
He's because he shaves, you can't tell, right?
I feel like it's like a low hairline.
Yeah.
Those guys, like
He doesn't need to shave his head, but he obviously chooses to.
Yeah.
He's brown.
Oh, he's got hair there.
He's a sexy man.
Oh God, his brain, man. His
sexy brain.
Sexy brain. Anyway, and it was saying how
forearms,
if you
anyway.
look at oh my God, they're like thighs. Anyway,
Sorry.
if you look at animals, they fight, they play. Like that's just part of their nature.
So
And
my
that's what
dogs play hunt all the time. So they all chase each other around and gently bite each other's hind legs.
Yeah.
Like for practicing hunting, and sometimes a bit of the neck, but they'll never clamp down. They'll just.
It's playful.
Yeah.
And that's what made me think I'm going to do something that's a little bit combative.
Combative.
Yeah. And playful. Yeah. Never looked back. I think.
And the point of Principle 19 is like all that we do inside a gym is so that we can play with more joy, or play harder, or play more often.
Yeah. Or longer, forever.
Forever. That's my goal. So my intention with most of the thing these days is like whatever I'm doing in the gym makes me do whatever I do outside, whether it be with kids or play a bit of tennis, better, or at least less tiring. So I don't ever really push 100% in the gym anymore because I don't want to be broken from the gym. I want to be better from the gym. Like I'm sore, I'm tired and all that sort of stuff, but I'm not beaten down. That's where Principle 19 sort of rings for me.
What is your play?
Tennis.
Oh yeah.
Saw a little thing on racket sports, people playing racket sports compared to other activities. Had the best longevity in cognitive. Yeah, it was.
Is it
maybe
because a bit like playing an instrument, it's like unilateral. So you've got to use different sides of your brain.
coordination.
Hand-eye coordination.
And the chaos. So it's unlike golf. Like there's a lot fewer variables.
Don't you
So you have-
speak ill of golf.
Well, golf is golf is my second.
My
right?
dad is 76. He shot 72.
What a legend.
Yeah. Anyway,
That is
Is that
legendary.
golf talk?
Yeah.
that's golf talk.
Okay.
And he's still playing. 76. My mom will be 72 in a couple days, and yeah, they both play golf. It's a good longevity sport.
But for cognitive function, yeah, being able to read a ball and your opponent actually goes a long way. That being said,
Makes sense.
like if you don't want to pick up tennis, then pickleball or something like that would
Yeah.
probably be fairly similar.
Even table tennis.
Yes.
Yeah. Good fun.
Yeah. So
Play.
play. But I tend to then I like highly technical things, so I can just dive deep into just trying to learn something that I completely suck at. It's only been 2 years, so it's fun.
I love that, being a student again.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Fitness is freedom. What do you think about that phrase?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you were saying, like being fit gives you more freedom outside, opens you up to doing other activities, makes you, gives freedom to other people. Like for example, I always think of like, I want to be able to care for my mum, like physically if she was not as mobile, I want to be able to help her, like, you know.
I went
mental health
hiking a couple of weeks ago, and at the peak, a couple of expats rode their road bikes up, and motorbikes up to the peak. So there was a road that goes up to the peak of the hill mountain, and I took the dirt road, obviously. And they were middle-aged men. They were really, really nice. And this one dude who got off the bike was limping so bad, like he was in like pain, and he had to he got off the bike. He had to sit down on a rock, settle himself down. He couldn't enjoy the view. His mates were taking photos, doing all that sorts of stuff. They were having a good old chat, but like old mate was just sitting on a rock. And then when they got up to get on the bikes to ride off, I could just see the struggle. Like he needed a walking stick, and this dude, younger than your dad for sure, 50 to 60 range, and like his knee was just like wrecked, and it was just like you don't appreciate the freedom, the fitness, until like you're in that situation, your L3, L4 situation.
Yeah, I was not experiencing freedom. There was very little choice.
That was probably a
And
dark place for you, emotionally.
Very dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the opposite side of the spectrum, it was like, we work towards like this whole fitness level. It's like, well, actually, if you want to look at it as far as like avoidance, even like just to maintain, like it's way more important. Like you could speak to like the dark place actually on injury, or just not having your fitness taken away from you. Let's put it that way.
I mean, it's definitely, I think fitness is, at minimum, it's choice. Like you have options when you have a fit body. Your mind may not be there, but usually when you're training your body, you're training, well, not usually, you are training your mind. So at minimum, fitness is options and choice. And I think in most cases, freedom or fitness is really freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have choice, you kind of have freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my mum now, luckily she like touch wood, she's really healthy, like mid-70s, swims 3 times a week, doesn't have a car, so she's like, well, I know, she does her groceries, everything, she does gardening, she cooks, she bakes, she does, anyway, big up my mum. And
Good, Mum.
like, now she's got to an age where she like just wants to travel when she like when she's like off season, like the house is taken care of. My sister's kids are like in school, and because she was like, some like her best friend in New York, who's only a few years older than her, like daughters want to take her to Hong Kong, like fly her on business class. She can't because she's just not mobile enough. So my mum's like now, like, oh my God, I want to do as much as I can whilst I can get around. Yeah.
We all will die.
Yeah, no one lives forever.
No one lives forever. Yeah.
YOLO.
And on that note.
See,
No, but it is kind of like you're gonna get old. You're gonna have at some point the freedom will be taken from you. So we want to extend that as long as we can, and that ultimately I think is we're talking about our principles. That's what we stand for more than anything else. We love to look good naked. Look good naked. We want to perform, but at the end of the day, the thing that matters is that longevity, is that freedom, and is to be able to do this for a long time. So
Because then you have a
Principle
joyous
19.
life.
then you have life to live. joy. Principle 19, play.
I like it.
Signing off.
We're done. Go team.
3, 2, 1.
Play.
Play.
I just did.
Episode 2 in the book. All right. Thanks, guys. Anybody that's watching, thank you very much.
Till
See you next time.
See you.